Church.
Good morning.
Man, it's good to be here this morning. Glad everybody's here. Who's here? Just thank God for you this morning. Appreciate everybody. So if you have your Bibles open to the book of Genesis, chapter 19. Then we'll go back a little bit, but we don't have to go back there with the screen. We'll hit it a little bit and go on. It says in verse 1 of Genesis chapter 19, it says, "And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat at the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground." It says, "And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways." They say, "Nay, but we will abide in the streets all night." And he pressed them greatly. And they turned unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. So, I'm just going to stop right there for the sake of time. When we, you see this, we see here that Lot is at the gate of Sodom. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of background here, just a little bit, and those will be for later messages. But in Genesis chapter 13, we see that Lot was with Abram, his uncle there, and then they were together. They had all their livestock, all that they had, all the herdsmen was there, all the people who worked for them, all these things, they were there together. They were just moving together and was there. So what happened was there was some strife that came up between Abram and Lot. And so Abram was just like, this is what we're going to do. We're brethren, we don't want any trouble, any strife here, man. We're family, we want to do all right. So look, I want you to go whichever way you want to go. You want to go right, then you can go right. If you want to go left, then you can go left. Whichever way you want to go. And so we see that. So Lot chose a direction, and the direction was really good. It had a lot of water, a lot of green, a lot of vegetation. So you know what? He was set with his animals. He was set with all that stuff, and it was a quick fix for him. That's what Abram do, which will be Abraham. He went on and just did his thing, and then God took care of that. Again, that's for another day. But this is where I want to get it. In verse 12 of Genesis 13, it says this. It says, "And Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom." So that's pretty key there. We see that right now he went his way. He went where it was green. He went to where the water was at. And then there he pitched his tent. He set up camp right there where he could see Sodom. He could hear the things probably going on in Sodom. That's what we do sometimes. How many of us ever done stuff like that? It's like, man, if we get just a little closer, we can hear a little bit, right? And sometimes that's what it draws us to what's going on. Well, I'll just stay on the outskirts of it, but I won't be involved with it. But man, it just gets so enticing in our lives. Yes. It just tears us up sometimes, and we end up going to visit a place or something like that. That's for another message. I got to go. All right? Now, in verse 13, this is what it says. In verse 13 of Genesis 13, it says this: "But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners." So we see that Lot, Abram let him pick the way he wanted to go. He picked the way he wanted to go, and he pitched his tent toward Sodom. And now we find out what type of men is in Sodom. What type of people are in Sodom? They're wicked and sinners. Right. Do you think God's happy with that place?
Nope.
No. Is he happy with sin in our life?
No.
No. Is he happy with us doing wickedness? Yeah. No, he's not. So what only thing good can come from that is absolutely nothing in our life, right? We have to look at that. Again, we got to go on. Now we go to chapter 18. Chapter 18 of Genesis, it is this is where Abraham and God's having a little communication, right? They're sort of He's sort of negotiating with God about what's getting ready to go on in Sodom. What's he getting ready to do in Sodom? He's getting ready to destroy Sodom. And then we're going to get into that in just a second. He's getting ready to destroy Sodom. And that's going to be in chapter 18. So we see, he starts negotiating. What if... Let me go back up just a little bit. Okay. In verse 17 of Genesis 18, it says this, and the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that which I'm getting ready to do? About what he's getting ready to do. He's getting ready to destroy Sodom. Do you want to know or do you not want to know? Guys, sometimes we don't want to know what God's getting ready to do because we know it's going to be something that needs to be done.
Yes.
Something that we're not sure of. We don't understand certain things. But God has the big picture. We don't see the big picture. God sees. Lot went, set his tent toward Sodom, and in Sodom was wicked people and sinners. That's all there were. He did not say there was any good ones in there, did he? See, there was just sinners and there were wicked men. And then in then 18, it says, seeing Abram surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. Again, we're in Genesis 18. I'm still not where I want to go yet. This, in 19, it says, for I know him that he will command the children in his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord and do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. Now, verse 20 and 21 is pretty key. It says, and the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous. It's not good. And he said, 21, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I'll know. If not, I will know. Now we see that he's going down to Sodom. God is to test it right now. To see what they're about, right? Do you think Abraham already knows what's there? He's been in the general area, right? He knows Lot's in there. Nephew's in there, right? Got family there. Family's going to talk to each other. Man, you know what's going on in Bubba's house? Yeah. Man, you know what's going on over here? That's what the things like this is going on, man. God said, well, let me just go and we'll just see. We'll just lay this test out here and we'll see what it's about, man. Yeah. Then what happened? Then we have to go down a little bit. And then Abraham starts a negotiation type thing. Well, what if we can find, because it said, so you're going to destroy the righteous too that's in the city? Yeah. You know the test has already been laid out, right? Sodom must have failed. Because it's getting ready to happen. Well, what if we could just find 50 or so? Okay, if you find 50, I won't destroy it. Huh. So, do you think Abraham's counting in his mind how many he can find? Well, what if there's 45? Then he goes on down, then at the end it was 10. It got down to 10. I want to destroy it for 10 seconds. I want to destroy it for 10 seconds. That's the last two verses of chapter 18 in. I want to destroy it for 10 seconds. So you got 10. If we just find 10, man, we're doing good. Is that not what our world looks like today? Yes. When we go to places, God saying, man, we're sitting here, we're crying out for these things, and we're saying, God, can we just, if there's just 10 here, we can not destroy it. And He already knows that. And we're sitting here trying to find people. Counting. Trying to do what's going on. Now let's go to chapter 19. We go to chapter 19 and we find, again, where does Lot end up? He pitched his tent toward Sodom. Now he's the gatekeeper of Sodom. Yes. As they're going in the gate, he's the man that's there. The men that are there at the gate, that hangs around there on these edges and fronts, that they know what's going on in the city. Just like the pastors of the churches. When people come into the church, I believe the pastor knows what's going on with other people. Because people are coming to the pastor and they're talking to the pastor. They're sharing with whoever's in charge. They're sharing with the leaders of the church. We know hurts. We know things that are going on. So you not think that he knows the same thing? Do you think he knows what's going on in Sodom? Yes. Yes, if you are a leader, you know things that are going on. Man. Guys, we have to look. So what did he do? We just read some. It says, and there came two angels of Sodom at evening, and Lot sat at the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, arose to meet him, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Do you think he knew who they were?
Oh, yeah.
They were coming in, and he knew there was some business going on. Guys, there's times that we have to make sure what's going on in our life. Who is at our door? Who is trying to come into our city? Who's trying to come in? And what is trying to come into our home? Guys, we have got to be ready.
That's right.
Because let me tell you something. Sodom and Gomorrah can suck us in quicker than anything in this world.
That's a fact.
And we won't even realize it. We won't even realize it. But we'll know everything going on and everything else, but we won't know what's going on in God's life that He has for us. Because we're so worried about everything else in the city. We're so worried about everything else here and there. And you know what? The devil is coming into our homes. Coming into our lives. And you know what? We're feeding him. We're doing it ourselves. And we say, oh, we're Christians. Again, God's trying to find 10 Christians from chapter 18. All right? So now we see here that Lot goes and he runs up there to him. So he begs them, don't stay. They're going to say, we're going to stay in the city. No, don't do that. You can't do that. Why? Because he knows what goes on in the city. Now, verse 5 says this of Genesis 19. And I will try to get to a point here. It says, and they called unto the Lord and said unto him, where are the men which came? These are the men of the city coming to Lot's house and trying to want the men who come. And it says, bring them unto us that we may know them. Guys, and that's some sexual stuff. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is stuff that is not good. Stuff that's going on today.
Yes.
When I hear preach on things like, I'm just here, that's going on today. We can't say things in certain places, can we? No. But they can say anything. But what we have to do is we have to do God's business. And you know what? Lot knew that, but yet he's still part of the city, so he knew what was going on in the city. He knew what type of visitation they had. Service that come to the city. The people who visit. So, one thing that the closest that we have in the city probably to God is this, is Lot. Why? He knew what was going on, but yet he knew who they were, so right? And when he bowed down to him, but he said, don't stay here. He was protecting them in a way, right? No, come to my house.
Right.
Stay at my house. That's the closest to God that those people have in that city. And guess what? He's still not right. As we're going to see. So we see that God was invited. Lot invited them to Lot's house. Now, we're going to have to go on down. And we see here in verses 10 and 11. Let's read those. In verse 10 and 11 it says, but the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. So what's happening now is, in verses 7 through 9, the men were coming, knocking on the door, trying to get in. They wanted the men who come to Lot's house, right? For the sake of time, we can't go into some of the details there going on, but what they did was they struck every man with blindness, so they couldn't find the door. So there's this big mob outside trying to get into the house, this, that, and the other. Lot's out there trying to say, you know what, it's okay, don't mess with these men, this, that, and the other. But these men grab Lot and bring him through the door. The men, God literally saved Lot's life. Now think about this. What if Lot would have just let everything go? What would have happened? Things bad, worse could have happened, couldn't it? But sometimes, guys, when we know God as our Savior, when we are trusting Him, when we're walking with Him, we do fall into the city of Gomorrah sometimes, right?
Yes.
We get trapped in there. We start saying, you know what, I'll just stay, again, at the edge, but I won't go in. But we end up being in. It can trap us. But then sometimes God comes back and sends somebody our way, right? Even if we're the gatekeeper.
Yes.
We know about the city. We know where we are. And you know what? We may not understand it, but you know what? God is a God that He gives them second chances, doesn't He? Because what did He do? He went and they rest and they pulled him back in. Guys, things are not good. things are going crazy. What do you think is going on in his mind right now? All this stuff's going on, right? Now, we're going down. Look at verse 12. It says, and the men said unto Lot, hast thou any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place because of the cry of them waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. If you have anybody else in the family, anything you want to do, if you have any son-in-laws, whoever it may be, just go get them because we are getting ready to destroy this place. It is time. Why? They come in and they still want to attack the people. They're there to, they're doing, guys, what God needed done. And you know what? That was me. I needed to be destroyed. I'm the one that needed to be on the cross.
Yes.
But he came to me and saved me. Ray, I need you to get away from this life. Because number one, it will destroy you. Right? There's things in the life, a place that we're going, we will be destroyed at the end. We do not have to, again, you don't have to accept Christ. But you also don't have to go to hell either. We have a choice. We have choices to make in life. So this is what he does. God warns Lot. Verses 12 and 13, what does he say? We're getting ready. If you have anything, you better go get it, but we're going to destroy this place. You better get everybody you got, every family member that you have. Again, God already knows. I'm going to destroy it if there's 10, so do you think there's less than 10 people there? The closest one is going to be Lot. In the study, and I've had other things and all this, they're saying this is one, he's probably one of the closest ones there. Considered a Christian. But we're still living in the city, doing what the city does. It says, for we will destroy this place. 15 and 16. We go to 14. It says, and Lot went out and spake unto his son-in-laws, which married his daughters, and said, get get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his son-in-law. Just mocked him and all that. Mocked him and all that. This is in verse 15, it says, when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters. They knew right then, didn't they? Left out the other members, right? Just take your wife and your 2 daughters. That's it. The other ones, that's it. You're mocked sometimes, guys, that's it. So what? When the morning arose, then hasten Lot. Well, 15. It says that when the morning rose, then the angels rise. The morning rose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife, thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And then 16. It says, and while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand and upon his hand of his wife, and upon the hands of his 2 daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him, they brought him forth and set him out without the city. Okay, so we see here that he lingered even now. The city will get a hold of us. Even when we know God's trying to get us out, and sometimes we're still going to end up lingering around. God said, I need you out now. You got to go right now. So what is enticing us to stay where we are? If God needs us to break this addiction or whatever it may be, this sin that may be that's carrying us around because we're carrying it because we are taking it with us. Guys, we have to look and say, what is going on? God said, I need you to go now. The minute that God speaks, we need to act.
Amen.
When God says go, we need to go. But he lingered. What if God was not merciful upon him because he lingered? It would have still been over. We don't have time to wait. There's times that we have to do things now. We cannot wait on other people. When God says, Ray, I need you to go, then I have got to go. I cannot linger in where I'm at. And you know what? I cannot linger in my past. I can't linger in anything. But God says, Ray, I've saved you from that. Now I need you to go here and do this. But we got to go. But when He's saying, I need you to get your family and you got to get out, then we need to be going. Because we don't have time to linger. Right. We don't have time to hesitate. Because why? When we linger and we hesitate in what it is, then sin can still stay with us. And we may end up staying if something doesn't happen. What happens? Drastic things can happen. So why did He not go? The angels there had to grab them and take them out of the city.
Yes.
So we see that He warns Lot around 12, around 14, 15, and then we see around 15 and 16 that, you know what, God was merciful upon him because he lingered. Yes. God had mercy upon him because he lingered. He stayed there. Sin has us controlled. Sin has control of us. Places we go have control of us. But you know what? We need to have God in our life enough to where He says, you know what, I need you to change this job. I need you to change what you're doing today, Ray. I need you to change your routine. This is what I need you to do. But if I linger where I'm at, I may never change. He may never be able to reach me. But you know what? But He will have mercy. He said, Ray, look, man. He may send somebody to me to help me. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Yes.
Amen. There's times today, some of us right now, we're going through struggles that we're fighting with right now that's holding us where we are in this city. I'm not saying we're in Sodom. You know, can't go there. Don't have time. But we're in places of our life. We don't see it, but there's sin holding us. There's sin holding us. And we have got to let it go. But God will be mercy upon it. So, let's go back to verse 16 and 17 and look at this. Verse 16, it says, and while he lingered there, the men laid hands upon them and upon the hand of his wife and upon the hand of his two daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him within the city. And it came to pass when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountains, lest thou be consumed. Escape for thy life. Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee. The Bible says the hand, if you have your hands upon the plow and you look back, you're not fit for the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
Guys, we're not doing any good by looking behind at what's
That's
going on.
right.
When we're plowing, when you're plowing and you got your hands up there and they're doing a straight line, they're so pretty. But then when you start looking at, me, I couldn't do that because there would not be a straight line in the whole thing. We would be wasting valuable space to put crop or whatever it may be. There would not be anything straight because I get unfocused. Anybody ever get unfocused? So what I have to do, if my hands are on a plow, I have to focus so hard on what I'm doing. Because I'm just horrible, stuff like that. But what I do, I might see a butterfly flying. Oh, look how pretty. You know, and I'm just, and then he said, oh, look, I'm about a foot away from where I'm going to just be curved. And that's just the way that I do. So when I find out that I might not be fit for the kingdom of heaven, what do I have to do then? I need to be focused upon the cross. I need to be focused what's ahead of me and stay focused upon that. Guys, we're coming in and we see that God has given us plain instructions in our life for us to follow, and we're not following. We're not doing what we need. So what happens? Sin comes in our life. We stay longer than we want to stay. It costs us more than we want to pay, right?
Amen.
That's what's going on in our lives. We all have a struggle that we're dealing with. Too many of you got struggles right now. You're dealing with that. You got to say, you know what? We need to get, whatever it may be, if it's something, you need to get away from that. Ray, I need you to escape and go your separate way. I need you to go away from that, man. Now.
Yes.
At least you're going to be consumed with this. So what I do? We have to change. We have to get away.
That's right.
Go totally away from what it is that's causing us to struggle. What we're fighting with. What we're fighting what we're battling on a day-to-day basis. You know what? There's people that are in churches today. There's some that come to church. You know what? They're struggling with addictions, aren't they? There's people who are struggling with sicknesses. But what do we have to do? We have to fight through it.
That's
God,
right.
what can I do to beat this? I'm going to jump back to Genesis 18 for just 1 second. And this is what it says. Genesis 18 and verse 14, it says this right here. It says, is anything too hard for the Lord? Is anything too hard for the Lord? So, what we have to do is we have to ask a question. Is this sickness too hard for the Lord? Is this desire too hard for the Lord? Is this depression too hard for the Lord to beat? Is this alcoholism or addiction too hard for the Lord to beat? We have to ask that question. If the God is the God of this universe, God has every single thing, then should anything be too hard for Him to help me with? He knows what I have need of before I ask. And when I find out myself, Ray, you need help in this area, then I need to go, you know what? God, can you help me?
Amen.
Is this too big for you? And He'll give me an answer. And when He answers and we have to respond at that moment, we cannot ever linger. When He says, okay, I can help you with this, but you've got to go here. You've got to get away from here.
Yes.
What do? I got to go.
Try.
You do not have time to linger, because if I linger, I might not make it to the point I'm supposed to go to.
Try.
Guys, is anything too hard for the Lord?
No.
Now, we're going to have to close. God gave them instructions. God gave them instructions and said to what? Escape for thy life, and they told them not to look back. But then we go over to verse 26. And I'm just going to jump here just for a second, just for whatever, so we can close. It says, but his wife looked back. This is Lot's wife right here, okay? It says, but his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. When we look back, then we can become a pillar of salt. I'm not saying we will, but guys, we can get stuck.
Yeah.
And we will never get away from that place. And people's going to there'll be a reminder there of us, because there's going to be a pillar there of Ray saying, you know what? He looked back.
Yeah.
He didn't follow the instructions he's supposed to follow. You know what? When we were kids, our parents gave us instructions, and you know what? We took them as far to the edge as we could go.
Yes.
We've learned that from being a child, and guess what? We do it as adults.
That's right.
But we tell our kids, you need to do this. You mind me. What do we do? I will. Right up until the edge where I'm getting ready to jump over, where I'm not minding you, right?
Yes.
How many's ever done that? Anybody ever done that? Really? All right. Really? That's not me. Yeah. So how many kids take it to the edge?
All
It's
of
in
them.
here. Yeah. Yeah. That's the way we are, right? But what we do sometimes is, yes, I have made mistakes as being a parent. Yes, I made mistakes as being a kid. Yes, I made mistakes as being, a middle-aged whatever. But I know that when God says, Ray, don't look back at that. Don't look back. I need you just to go. I need you to escape for your life, man. Don't look back. Because when the church starts looking back sometimes, you know what? Sometimes we want what was yesterday in church, right? Yeah. And we do. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we look back and keep trying to get to that place, then we're not going forward.
That's right.
So what happens? The church becomes just a pillar.
That's right.
It's just there. Yeah, I remember. They used to have church services there, but now it's closed. Because we keep looking back for what it was. And God's saying, Rick, I need you to go forward. And that's what we got to do. Guess what? We are the church.
That's right.
When each individual, all of us leave here today, we're taking this church with us outside these walls. Wherever we go. If we keep looking back, all they're going to see is, you know what? He was here. And he's still there. Because he kept looking back. Like I said, I need you to go forward.
That's right.
I need you not to stop. I need you to escape for your life. And you know what? what we do, we've got to warn everybody from
That's
witness, right? And the thing I want to look at too in my life is this: how many? If we were in Sodom, again, this is where, you know, God showed some mercy in this place, didn't He? There's some mercy being shown a little bit. And what we got to look at is, where are we in the sight of God?
That's right.
We sit there and we claim that we're Christians, but are we living like a Christian? Will the people in Sodom see that we're like a Christian? Or they want to see that we fit right in and do everything that they do? We need to check ourselves right now today, because we are the church.
That's right.
We're representing this church when we leave here. And we got to go do what we have to do.
That's right.
And God says, I need you to leave this, and you leave it. And you got to go. We don't have time to look back. So, if we're in Sodom, could God count us as being one of the righteous if He would not destroy it? Is there one in this church? If I had to restore this church, what number will we have to say? God, can we just find 50 in this church that are righteous if you don't destroy it? Are we one of the 50? Are we one of the 10? If we have 10, there's a few, but you still have a few.
Yes.
God will still take care of that one. Because guess what? Those few, they're there, God can use to go change the world. But you know what? He would love for everybody to know Him.
Amen.
In church today. So it would be 100%. He would not have to worry about this place. He would not have to worry about this world, would He? If everybody in the world would just follow. But they all don't.
Right.
Because we all get fallen in the trap.